held. The activities of the National Committee weren't stepped up until July, when a diplomatic representation was established in Stockholm. Ex-Minister Otto Tief was elected chairman of the National Committee. Jüri Uluots assumed the duties of the president. The movement for independence hoped that it would be possible to keep the front from advancing into Estonia until the end of the war. Hopes were placed on the Atlantic Charter and on the help of the Western democracies. Admiral Pitka began to organize the nucleus of armed forces that the future government of the Republic could rely upon. The fascist barbarians are still dominating over there. Red Army units are assembling to liberate Narva, an industrial town with a glorious past, which embodies the historical friendship and cooperation that exists between the Estonian and Russian peoples. The artillery arm of the Estonian National Corps, the Red Army, is taking part of the battles for the liberation of Narva. The Red Army vastly outnumbered its opponents on the Narva front, especially in terms of armaments. It went on the offensive on July the 24th. The German troops abandoned Narva, which had been reduced to ruins by the Russians. The Red Army was brought to a halt as they reached the Sinimäe Hills on July 26th. About 60,000 men stood in their way, half of them Estonians. The Red Army lost up to 170,000 men in ferocious battles, and the Russian strategists were reduced to looking for other routes by which to reconquer Estonia. On the 20th of July 1944, while liberating Narva from the clutches of the enemy, our combatants saw a landscape of ruins in place of the town that flourished here before. Forward to Tallinn, forward to the west. 22-year-old Harald Nugiseks, Estonian recipient of the Knight's Cross, spent a few days on leave at his home in an Estonian village. Farmers from the area, the only men left from Karjaküla, have come to visit the heroic fighter. Their sons are fighting at the front too to defend their homeland from the Bolshevik avalanche. Despite his close proximity to the battlefield, the farmer harvests the fields. Let this be an example to all of us. For all of us, the war has become something that will not tolerate idle onlookers. Under the protection of arms, the harvest is carried out, literally in the combat zone. The Red Army began a new Estonian offensive from the south in the middle of July, broke through German lines, captured Võru on August 13th and Tartu on the 25th. The southern front was only lightly manned by German troops. Võru was made the temporary capital of the Estonian SSR. The 200th Infantry Regiment arrived in Paldiski from Finland on August the 19th at the urging of the National Committee. These 3,000 Estonians had made the choice to fight in Finnish uniform. They were received with great enthusiasm by the people. In the aftermath of the fighting in July and August 1944, the Red Army scoured a big part of the Baltic states for enemies. The towns of Tartu, Võru, Madona, Resekne, Daugavpils, and Šiauliai and Jelgava have already been liberated. Our troops reached this line by September. A major new attack was launched by the Red Army on September 14th. Hitler gave German troops permission to retreat from Estonia on the 18th. Many Estonians in German uniform departed with them. Their choices were limited. After heavy fighting, the Soviet troops of the Third Baltic Front took the city of Valga. In Tallinn on the 19th, the government of the Republic, headed by Otto Tief, assumed its duties. For 2 days, the Estonian flag was restored to its proper place. The inhabitants of Estonia left their homeland aboard German cruisers. Some 75,000 Estonians were able to flee from the Red Terror. Around 50,000 to Germany by sea and by land, and over 20,000 to Sweden, mostly by small boat. Under the protection of German naval forces, merchant ships are safely entering their ports of destination. 6,500 Estonian citizens had been executed by the Nazis, including captured Soviet killers. This figure doesn't include the prisoners of war who died in Estonia and the Jews murdered at Kaleviliva and Klooga. It's been described as an extermination camp. I'd call it a labor camp instead, because when the working day was over, the inmates could go to surrounding villages. So they started to come to us, too. We gave them whatever food there was, potatoes or bread or whatever else we had at the moment. Close relationships developed with a number of people who came to our house repeatedly. But the liquidation of the camp, well, it was a task force. Their arrival took place under the cover of secrecy. The guards who had been there were completely replaced. I came from Tallinn by train at night. I saw lights the night before. The next day I went to see what was going on because there was a pervasive smell of burnt meat that extended for kilometers. The picture that I saw was extremely morbid. Kose Lane was filled with corpses. They shot my husband's 2 brothers. Then they shot some 9 or 10 people to death. They shot everyone they came across. It was simply awful when I think back. I wept my eyes out. Suddenly a Russian officer came to talk to me. I don't know Russian, but we had some women there who knew the Russian language, and they translated. "Why is this woman crying? Isn't she happy that we come and save you from the Germans?" All that I said to him was that my husband was also coming from there, although I hadn't heard anything about him. But wasn't it awful if he too would come like that, with such killing? Marshal Govorov's troops arrived in Tallinn. The advance on Tallinn was an operation as fast as lightning. Our troops battled their way ahead at a pace of over 150 kilometers in 2 or 3 days. The capital of Estonia was returned to the Estonian people. The flag of freedom was fluttering again over Toompea, the ancient stronghold of Tallinn. 120,000 Red Army troops invaded Estonia from 2 directions, including the Estonian Rifle Corps, numbering almost 30,000 men. Opposing them were 60,000 Estonians who had been fighting with the Germans. The Estonians had no heavy arms. There wasn't even a front anymore, just isolated pockets of fighting men. Here and there, Admiral Pitka's fighters put up desperate resistance. Independence wasn't relinquished without a struggle. In reality, Estonia had no real resources with which to defend herself. Tallinn fell on September the 22nd. By the 24th of November, all of Estonia was in their grip. In those desperate days, everyone had his or her own choice to make. Some waited for the Red Army, some got away to the west, others sought refuge in the woods. Many decided to stay at home, come what may.